Hey everyone, I'm Ellen here at etrailer.com. Today we're taking a look at the Air Lift LoadLifter 7500 XL air helper springs. Now these are going to be mounted on the rear axle of our vehicle, and this is a specific fit for the 2019 and newer Ram 3500 pickup. That's going to be for the four-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive. So these are going to have several different benefits for us. These are going to be a heavy-duty bag, so they'll help to support a lot of weight in our truck. Of course, they're not going to give us any greater payload for our vehicle while we're towing, but it does help to alleviate some of the strain and stress that we put on our truck whenever we're doing that heavy towing. A lot of times whenever you put a heavy load on your hitch ball or maybe your fifth wheel trailer, you're going to push the back end of that truck down and create some squat. That can make your steering geometry feel less safe, since it's kind of pushing the front end of the truck up, and now our tires aren't connecting as well with the road. They might start wearing unevenly, and our steering and braking performance are diminished. That also points our headlights up where we don't really need them to be, and it can just make our overall ride more uncomfortable, create some sway in the truck, and it can feel kind of unsafe and like we're swaying out of control. So by having our air springs, our airbags in our vehicle, we're going to be able to bring that truck back end back to true, get our factory ride height back where we need it to be, and alleviate all those problems. The other nice thing about these is that we're creating another connection between our frame and our axle, so we're going to alleviate that sway as well and create more of a cushion for our truck to ride on, so we don't have as heavy a ride or that kind of rough ride that you typically get when you've got a heavy load in the vehicle. So it gives us a lot of benefits there. These again are going to be heavy duty bags. They're going to be a little bit bigger and beefier than some of the other airlift bags you'll see out there. These are going to be a 7-inch diameter spring, so it has more volume than the LoadLifter 5000 air springs, so it gives you more strength for that at low temperatures. Now with that greater footprint there, that doesn't mean that you're going to have any issues with contact between the spring and your wheel. The double convoluted design means that it's going to have a pretty limited footprint as far as expansion out whenever there's more air in here and it's under pressure. It still isn't going to like pancake out flat, so you don't have to worry about any contact issues there between the spring and the wheel. It also is going to help to make the rest of our OEM suspension components last longer, since we're going to have another component to spread that weight out over. If you think of adding an extra leg to your Thanksgiving table whenever it's really under a lot of strain, you're not really adding any extra capacity to your table. It's just better able to stand that weight, and all the legs are less likely to break. That's kind of one way I like to think of it, is that we're just adding stability to our truck and making it so that all of those other suspension components are lasting longer, so we don't have to worry about our road shock and things like that creating a limited lifespan out of our suspension components. It comes with everything you see laid out here on the table, so I've got my bags more or less assembled how they'd be on your truck. This would be the driver's side and then the passenger side. It comes with all the brackets and everything that you need, so you can see all the metal is covered with a nice powder coating, so we shouldn't have to worry about any rust or corrosion. We'll have our elbow fittings for that 1/4-inch air hose to fit into. And another nice thing about this is that it is compatible with most of your fifth wheel and gooseneck hitches, so any of those in-bed hitches shouldn't have any issues with contact here. The way that this mounts up, this is going to be mounted up to the frame kind of where the jounce bumper normally sits, so you will have to remove that. There's no cutting or drilling required, and it's going to keep it away from the outside of the frame, which is typically where you have your gooseneck and your fifth wheel hitches installed. So shouldn't have any issues with that. And that's especially important because a lot of times when we're hauling a fifth wheel or a gooseneck, we need that extra support for our towing system. Again, we'll get all the additional hardware, so this is going to go around our spring pack to keep everything tight against the outside of our suspension there, or keep it tight against the suspension on the inside. No cutting or drilling required, as I mentioned. The load leveling capacity for this is going to go up to 7,500 pounds or 7,500 pounds. Again, this is not going to increase the payload or the weight carrying capacity of your truck, so you never want to exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight limit. It's just going to be there as a support for that weight in your vehicle. It does have a limited lifetime warranty and a 60-day satisfaction guarantee from Air Lift, and these are made in the USA. Another component that you can get to go with your airbags is going to be a compressor system. I know that that's a big financial investment to make, but if you're going to be using the airbags all the time, it's a good idea to look into it. Basically, the advantage with getting a compressor system is that you don't have to worry about finding a gas station that has an air chuck that you can use for free, or having to find your air gauge to check on your pressure. It's just going to make sure that you maintain a constant pressure in your bags and that you never have to worry about riding on no air. And you can also make those adjustments on the fly, again, without having to get out of your truck, find a place to air up, or find a way to open up that valve. So it just makes life a little bit easier. You can either get a dual pass or a single pass. A dual pass would just allow you to still have the adjustability side to side for off-centered loads, like if you have an in-bed camper. And you'd be able to adjust each of those bags independently. A single pass would just merge the two bags together, and then they're just going to raise and fall together without that adjustability. They tend to be a little bit less expensive, the single pass, but again, you do lose that adjustability. If you're going to be hauling with a fifth wheel or a gooseneck, most likely you're not going to have that off-centered load to worry about, so that's something to keep in mind. We do have a lot of options here at etrailer.com for those compressor systems, so you can check those out if you'd like. As far as how these compare to the Firestone bags, I feel like the Airlifts typically do a pretty good job. The one advantage that I will give to the Firestones is the crimp that their bags actually have. These, they do have that Zytel end cap, which is going to be a pretty high strength cap. It's lighter and stronger, and it doesn't have any issues with corrosion when compared to steel. But the way that the Firestones, it actually has this rolled crimp that holds the bag really well, and typically you never have any issues with the bag coming apart. Sometimes there have been instances where somebody goes over a real big pothole, or their tire goes off the road a little bit and it just pulls out, and these can rip out of the bag. So that is one thing that has happened in extreme cases, and I'd just like to mention it, that if you're looking at one to the other, the Firestone does have a little bit more stable bag than the Airlift. I will give it to the Airlift though for their compressors. They're usually a little bit better. So kind of up to you as far as where you want to go there, but overall I think this is a really great system. Customers really have great things to say about it, and it's going to do the job for you to get down the road more comfortably. But that's going to do it for our look at the Air Lift LoadLifter 7500 XL air helper springs for the rear axle on your Ram 3500.